there is freedom in forgiveness, but it's a choice that you have to make. We all reach this point where we have to decide if we're going to take our next steps with pain, or if we're going to take our next steps with the wisdom, the lessons, and the maturity that it brought with us. And if there's something that I have learned, and many of you have learned, it's that you can't walk in freedom if you're walking in unforgiveness. You can't have peace in your heart if you're walking in unforgiveness. And forgiveness is something that has to be extended all the way around, from within and around. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive people. You have to forgive yourself for things that you've done knowingly and unknowingly. You have to forgive people for things that they've done knowingly and unknowingly. And as difficult as it may be to let it go, I promise you, it is far more difficult to let it drag you around. And I bring this to you this morning because this is not what I wanted to talk about. But this is something that I need to talk about, because it explains why a lot of us act or react in the ways in which we do, whether positive or negative. Forgiveness plays a role in how we feel about ourselves, how we feel about others, how we feel about family. And those feelings go into how we treat people, how we treat ourselves, the words that we use, the words that we keep. Forgiveness does a lot. And if I'm being honest with you, right now, and I've said this lately, I've been talking on here more than I ever have. If you've been following me for a long time, you would just see photos of my books or just little quotes. And for this past month, you've been seeing my face. You've been hearing my voice. And there's a reason for that. And there's a reason why I've been given different tests, or been having different triggers, or been reading certain scriptures, or been crossing paths with certain people. It's because lessons are still being learned, but lessons are also being applied. And I'm learning that forgiveness, in many ways, is that first step for us to really be free, to really move forward, to really see ourselves as who we are. And it's hard to forgive sometimes. It's hard to forgive others, but it's even harder to forgive ourselves. Because at some point, we look at other people and we understand that people can only meet you where they are. Depending on a person's experience, maturity, faith, education, understanding, exposure, people are going to do, say, and think things because of who they are. And we have to be okay with sometimes people doing things to us or saying things to us because they know not what they do. So you have to look at some people and say, listen, I know this person attacked me. I know they attacked my character. I know they disrespected me. But I also know that that person has no idea that they're miserable. I know that person has no idea of what they're truly doing. And I know in some ways, there were some parts of me before I grew, before I learned, that was like them, ignorant. And when we get to a place where we don't take projection personally, we view forgiveness, grace, and mercy as second nature. You know, the other day, I was in a situation where I was insulted. And as I sat there, it shocked me because I don't even know what got me more, the insult or who it came from. What they said or the fact that they actually believe what they said. What they said or their malicious intent behind it. And as I sat there and looked at them, I realized, number one, this yields no response. Because sometimes we want to respond to people because we have something in us that we want to prove. We want people to not be wrong. We want people to be respectful. We want people to be all these things, but we have limitations of control. So in that moment, I realized that, number one, that was something I prayed for. Number two, it symbolized an end of a season for me. And number three, at that very moment, I needed to forgive that person. I needed to forgive that person because if I did not forgive that person, then I would leave room for resentment, for bitterness, for anger. And it's not worth it. It's not worth it, really, ever. And it's easy for us to be mad at others, to hold on to it, to hold it over their heads, or say things like, well, they should know better, or they should do better. But what about us? Shouldn't we know better and do better? Shouldn't we know that arguing with the fool would make us one too? Shouldn't we know that a lot of times it's easier for people to put things upon you because that's actually something that they deal with? Shouldn't we know that? And shouldn't we extend grace and mercy? Because hello, we've definitely had it extended to us. We've definitely been forgiven for things that may have been hard for other people to forgive us for. Or we've been instructed or prayed for in times that other people could have reacted to us. So I say that because we have to forgive because we have been forgiven. We have to forgive because we can't leave space for bitterness, resentment, and all those other negative emotions. But we also need to forgive because vengeance is not ours. There are people that have purposely gone out of their way to bring harm to you, to bring hell to you, honestly, to throw dirt on your name, to bring chaos to your family, to bring confusion to your life, to bring games to your mind. You know this. You know this to be true. And even if no one else sees it, you know it because you've lived it. But at that point, you have to forgive everything. You have to forgive all of it. And you have to forgive all of them. Because you can't change that. But you can change your heart and your mind. You can use these opportunities. And I say opportunities because as much as they're obstacles, they're opportunities for us to grow and mature. You can use them to be a better person. You can use them to see what the world is like. You can use them to see who your people are and who they are not. And you can use them to see that you're a resilient person. No matter what is said, no matter what is done, no matter how it feels, you do the right thing. You do the spiritually aligned thing. And that's not easy. Not everyone can do it. If everyone could do it, they would. They would talk about their lessons. They would humble themselves. You're doing that, but there's a reason why they're not. So when you forgive those people, also forgive yourself. Forgive yourself for the things that you've done, the hurt that you've caused, the immaturity that you've exhibited, the childishness that you once had, both knowingly and unknowingly. Forgive yourself when you're focusing on those people that talk about you. Maybe forgive yourself for putting yourself in a situation to where they can talk about something. Yeah, maybe what they're saying isn't true, but maybe you put yourself in a situation to where rumors could be formed. Maybe you entertained the wrong conversation. Maybe you befriended the wrong people. Maybe you found yourself in the wrong environment. Forgive yourself for those things. Forgive yourself for sleeping on your gifts. Forgive yourself for not seeing who you are and whose you are. Forgive yourself for staying in seasons, relationships, friendships that you outgrew long ago, that the red flags flew long ago, but you decided to stick around. Forgive yourself for those things. And then ask God to forgive you for not seeing everything that He put before you. Ask him to forgive you for focusing on the hurt instead of being grateful for healing, or being grateful for the people that he has placed in your life that see you, support you, love you, protect you. Ask him for forgiveness for seeking advice and following the steps of other people that were not in order. Ask for forgiveness for that. Because there are so many things that we need to work on within ourselves, that we need to forgive within ourselves so that we can move forward. The people, you can't stop them. They may never see an error in their ways. They may never have conviction. They may never repent. They may never apologize. They may never see a reason to. But forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is for you to say, even if that's wrong, even if they're wrong, even if this treatment is wrong, I'm going to do what's right for me. And I'm going to pray for them and hope that one day they have the discernment and the wisdom and the understanding and the maturity to not project their pains onto other people, to not talk about other people, because there's nothing good to talk about with them themselves. To see the bigger picture of life. You pray over those people, and then you pray over yourself. Because we're all in need of things. We all struggle with things. And we all need forgiveness. So extend mercy, extend grace, and forgive people, yourself, situations. And I promise you'll find the greater meaning in all things. You'll find a greater opportunity in all things. And the peace that you have will weigh far more than any present or past pain that you felt. So carry that with you, and I hope you have a great day. Love you.